All right, this is Tim Adams here at the Lindner Center. We've got today as our guest at Bearcat Journal, Darren Hiller, the offensive line coach for the Bearcats. First of all, thanks for taking some time to talk to us today.
Oh, no problem.
But everybody that's been listening to me throughout training camp and the beginning part of the year, they know I'm very intrigued by the fact that you're playing 9 offensive linemen. And you're doing a little differently than most people. First of all, that's much different, but you're doing it even more differently than even Steve Shankweller did, where he would play his whole second group for one series in the first half, one in the second half. You're mixing guys in and out. How do you feel about that? Are you feeling pretty comfortable as things are going by?
Yeah, you know, the first thing is I'd like to say is I'm excited as heck to be at the University of Cincinnati, and came into a great situation where we had a lot of depth on the offensive line and a lot of experience on the offensive line. And, you know, so right now what we're doing is you know, we've got a full 2 deep of guys, but we've got a few of those second team guys are a little bit ahead of some of the others. So what we're doing right now is we're just, you know, rotating some guys in, you know, like Corey Keebler right now. He's the first tackle in, and he's playing on the left side, and he's playing on the right side. You know, at center position right now, you know, Sam Longo's playing right guard. Andre and him and Andre have been battling it. You know, I think they've each started a game and so far this season, and Longo's been in there playing some center. You got Kevin Schlomer filling in for Bujnak in there at left guard. Justin Murray's coming to the game some, so it's been really fun for me to have depth. And you know, anytime you have depth, you have competition, and it shows up at practice throughout the course of the week. So that's been fun.
Other advantages I see to doing this, although a lot of people say you couldn't do this because the unit works so closely together, but when you got, in our case, or in Cincinnati's case, you got 9 defensive tackles running in and out of the game, you've got 4 or 5 defensive ends, and to just keep one unit of 300-pounders out there throughout the whole game, it seems like this makes a lot of sense from keeping guys fresh, and guys come to practice saying, you know what, I got a chance to play if I work hard.
Right, and that's the thing, you know, number one is they have to prove in practice that they're doing things to get into the football game, and we've had, you know, great practices and leading up early in the season, you know, with the temperatures being as hot as they've been in some of those games, we definitely don't want to just put, you know, one unit out there. And I've been at some places, and some of the years, and not some places, it's just some years, if you're a little bit lean in the offensive line, you got to roll with the 5 guys, and they're going to play every play. And at the end of the game, you may not be getting the same production you're getting at the beginning of the game. So we've been fortunate where we have some depth, and we've got guys that are proven, you know, from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in practice that they're capable of playing. So what we're trying to do is keep guys fresh, and you know, we're trying to get a lot of snaps off in the game.
And maybe healthy too, because I hear the defensive guys going, we don't really want to play those guys more than 40 or 50 plays, and you keep the same unit out there for a up-pace, up-tempo offense, there might be 70, 80, 90 plays that they'd be on the field.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and we're just trying to keep them fresh. You know, and some of these guys are old guys too, so you don't want to wear and tear their bodies too much, and you want to just keep the reps down. And you know, if one week a guy's got the hot hand, it's kind of like running backs. You know, sometimes if a guy's really playing well, like Bujnak in the Illinois game, he was really playing well, and he played a lot of snaps in that football game. And you know, but last week Kevin Schlomer played more snaps than Bujnak at left guard. You know, so it just depends upon the week.
You've been in this game for 20 years now as a coach, and you were a player before that. Are guys calling you up? Do you get any phone calls and say, hey, how's this working out for you so far?
Well, you know, no, I haven't. Nobody's really asked me about the rotation or anything like that. Of course, a lot of the guys that I'm friends with across the country and all those things, you know, they don't get to see us play. You know, I'm a California guy, and I coached in the South for a long time, but you know, I know one thing. The one thing that's fun is having depth that makes things fun.
You know, we talk about guys wanting to play early. There's a lot of young men. That's one thing they tell us at the recruiting website is they want to get on the field as quickly as possible. And you've got a guy out there, a redshirt freshman, Deshaun Bond. So you've also shown that you're not afraid to play a young guy if he's worthy and done the work to get out there on the field.
No doubt about it. I mean, you know, I've over the years, you know, typically it takes offensive linemen a little bit longer, but you know, Deshaun is doing a nice job for us right now. Matter of fact, he out of the first 3 games, he's had the highest grade in 2 of 3 games.
Wow.
And so he's really doing a very good job as a freshman. You know, and playing center, he gets protected by those guards a little bit, you know, from week to week. But, you know, he's done a really nice job. And for me in recruiting, and I tell these guys during the recruiting process, Number one is I'm not going to tell you you're redshirting because we don't know if a guy's going to redshirt or not. Number two is if you can play and you can help us win football games, we're going to play you.
Right.
And in the situation we're in right now, we've got a lot of older guys on this team, and coming into next year, we got to get some of these other guys reps, and everybody that's coming in these next classes is going to be important pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there. You've got, I think, 4 seniors. Well, Sprague's out for the year, but you got 3 other seniors in addition to him, and then you've got some juniors like Schlomer and Keebler, that are 2 of them, and then Manello would be in that group.
And Layfeld.
And Layfeld. So you've got 8 guys at the top end of your offensive line. You need to have some young guys who may have to grow up a little quicker than maybe most would want.
No doubt about it, and that's the thing. During this recruiting process, from the time I got here in January of 2013 all the way through to right now, every time I talk to a recruit, I'm saying, hey, listen, we're graduating 4 this year, and we're going to graduate 4 more next year. That's 8 guys, off of our roster that are going to be gone. And whether you come in here and you do redshirt, whether you play as a true freshman or you come in here in this class or in redshirt this year, it's going to be a situation where as a redshirt freshman, you're going to have a great opportunity to get on the field.
I've been around enough offensive line coaches and enough offensive linemen to hear them always talk about the need to always be there with you. They have to know what each other's doing, and that's true. We all admit that. But one of the things that you're doing with these kids, I don't think even they realize the advantages. When you've got a guy that's playing left and right tackle, or a guy playing guard and center, his value goes up in the eyes of NFL guys because most NFL teams carry 8 offensive linemen, so they're looking for guys with that versatility.
No doubt. I just got off the phone last night with a young man named Christian Barker, who's with the New England Patriots, and he's a guard. He played guard for me at Nevada, and he had always played left guard, and when I got there, he played left and right. And now in the NFL, they're only dressing 8 offensive linemen for a game, and so he is the backup right guard, he's the backup left guard, and he's the backup center, and he's got to have that versatility, and so for the guys here, that's what I'm telling them. You can't just say I'm a left tackle, because schematically you got to understand if you play left tackle, you got to know what the right tackle's doing anyway. So you got to be able now footwork and all those things, honing their craft, but the good thing is we practice it. And what we'll do is at practice is some days I'll say, all right, keeper, today you're going all right tackle. Justin Murray, you're going all left tackle. Parker Aarons, get over there at left tackle today and take all the reps at left tackle. Andre Curtin, he's always getting reps at both guards. Sam Longo's getting reps at center. Bujnak, I kind of keep him there at left guard, but Kevin Schlomer, he's getting reps at right guard. Don Manillo, all through fall camp at higher ground, got a lot of reps at both guard positions.
You bring up Manello as a guy, another great example. You've got some good walk-ons here. Niehaus has done a good job at center for a guy. I don't think he played a lot, any center maybe in Colerain, I'm not sure.
No.
And he's snapping the ball. Snap's always been a big thing that I worry about with these guys. And you got some guys that seem to have adjusted as well as I've ever seen new guys at the center position. What are you doing with those guys?
We just start off every practice with center cornerback exchanges, and we get a lot of that. Like Ben Flick's even been in there snapping the football. David's done a nice job as a walk-on offensive lineman for us. But we just do center quarterback exchanges, and then after practice, if a guy's struggling with his snaps, we'll keep those guys after practice with the quarterbacks, and we're just continuously working, snapping and stepping, snapping and setting, and just honing their craft. And playing with the ball in your hands is a different deal for those kids. And it's like Dan Sprague never was a center before he got here.
Linebacker.
Right. Deshaun Bond, he played some different positions as well, but he did have some center experience. But a lot of times you just have to make one of those guys. You got to make a center.
The other thing is you've got some good walk-ons, as we mentioned. Garrett Campbell would be another one. Will Stir is in there. I don't know. Niehaus, there's one more I think that maybe I'm forgetting. But Manello just got a scholarship, and so if you work hard, that's a position that hard work will pay off if you do it.
No doubt about it. This is my 19th season coaching offensive line, and I would say in 19 years, there's been I can't even remember the number, but there's been probably at least 10 guys that I can name in 19 years that came in as walk-ons and ended up getting a scholarship over the years. And the biggest thing is, and it's what I told these guys during the recruiting process, is I said, listen, you come in here, it may not happen your first year. You can't expect it to happen your first year. It could. And then, now that second year is where you're going to start trying to earn your money. By that third year, if you stick with it, and if you're trying to be the best player you can be, in the weight room and all, honing your craft and studying the film and doing all those things, you're going to end up getting a scholarship.
I think that's great advice for kids. I deal with a lot of the parents that have walk-ons as well, and that's pretty much what I tell them. There's only one player here that I can remember that got a scholarship after 1 year, and that was Jason Kelsey. He moved from linebacker to offensive guard and then eventually center. He's with the Eagles now.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys come in as a high school star and they think it's going to happen right away. But you have to be willing to spend 3 years at a minimum to get yourself in a position to earn that money.
Right.
But I'll say what, I think you'll agree with me. Kids that are walk-ons, they've done something, they've achieved something that few people have the intestinal fortitude to do.
Right.
Because it takes a lot of work and it takes a tough mental attitude to come out here every day and earn that money.
Yeah, and there's no doubt, these young guys that we got right now, Will Stewart, Garrett Campbell, David Niehaus, those kids are awesome kids. They're working their butts off. They're doing a great job with the strength coaches. They're, doing everything that you want them to do, and what they got to do is just stay patient with it and continue to work, and where they're really going to make their strides is come spring ball. Because, they went through fall camp, and during fall camp, it's a learning curve for them, and now they're kind of settled in. But now they're on the scout team, and they're doing a lot of scout team work. Come spring practice, now they're going to have an opportunity to do it.
You're guys, I mentioned, this is your 20th year of college coaching. You played the offensive line. Before that, you were a team captain, so obviously your enthusiasm and your leadership come through. When you kind of look at this situation at Cincinnati, what makes it so attractive for kids to come to this school?
Well, I would say first and foremost the tradition that Cincinnati's had over the successes that they've had over the last say 6 to 8 years, whatever the run they're on right now. They've played the 2 BCS bowl games in the last 6 years, I believe. They've won 10 or more games, I think 5 out of the last 6 years. From a winning standpoint, and then the family, everybody, everywhere I've ever coached, everybody talks about family atmosphere and all those things. But with Coach Tuberville here and the staff that we've developed, or we have assembled here at Cincinnati, there's definitely a family feel, and that's the biggest thing in recruiting for us is, and when I'm out recruiting, and all of us, we're telling guys, hey, just come hang around us. Come sit with our players. Come sit in meetings with us. We want guys to come on our campus and see what it's all about and be around our football players, because I think it's a great feeling for kids when they're around.
One other thing, when you talk about recruiting and people want to throw out a league in there and say you want to play in the SEC or you want to play in the Big Ten, my feeling has always been, most kids should, number one, go to college to get a degree, but number two, a lot of them do want to play at the next level. But the thing you've got to keep in mind is you got to get on the field, number one. Get on the field as early as you can and develop those skills, because you're a guy here at Cincinnati, and what you've been able to do is send some guys to the NFL at places that people would probably snicker at, as far as Arkansas State being more at the bottom of the BC or FBS institution. So you're a guy that can send a guy to that next level if they're willing to come here, and they're going to play maybe earlier than they would in another place.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, a scout from the Houston Texans was here yesterday, and I was talking with him. The starting right tackle for the Houston Texans is Derek Newton. He played at Arkansas State. Like I said, Christian Barker's with the New England Patriots, played at Nevada for me last year. Over the years, I've had a lot of other guys. Some are, bouncing around and maybe playing arena football now, things like that. But for me, and I don't like you, I agree with you, is you got to get on the field, because your film's your resume. And the key in recruiting for me is to recruit good players and make sure that when they get here, that they're willing to work as hard as they can, and for me to help them to reach their potential. And if you recruit good football players and you help them hone their craft and do what they're supposed to do and stick with it and get with that strength coach and come in and study film, they can end up being very good offensive linemen.
I'm going to make a prediction that if Cincinnati continues to play 8 or 9 offensive linemen, you're going to be down the road a guy that plowed the way for this kind of thinking, because no one threw the ball until somebody said, I think maybe we can do this. And I think it makes so much sense on so many levels. You might end up being somebody that they look to down the road and go, this was the first guy that actually accepted this idea and made it work.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm not trying to be a pioneer. All I know is when you have a lot of horses in the stable, you want to ride them and you want to run them, and so I came to a great situation. Been very fortunate with the players that they've had, and the cupboard wasn't bare, and there's been some years over the years where maybe you miss on a guy recruiting, or a guy gets hurt and unexpectedly, or whatever the numbers may be, and you just get down in numbers. But as long as we can keep the recruiting, and that's one thing we're going to do, is we're going to recruit and we're going to go out and sign offensive linemen. And as long as we can keep recruiting good football players that are willing to come in here and work hard and get on the field, hopefully things will keep going.
Bearcat fans, Darren Hiller, Bearcat Journal. Continue the great work, Coach.
Thank you.